Check your mailbox now. The scary text made my hands shake during dinner with my daughter. Her sweet voice filled our kitchen as she talked about school. But this message promised something bad was coming. As she reached for more food, I heard footsteps outside. You won't believe what happened next. Before we continue, please subscribe to Nasty Revenge and tell us where you're watching from in the comments. My heart beat fast as I opened the envelope. Inside was a photo of my daughter with a stranger, a man I'd never seen before. Written on the back were the words, "She's not who you think she is." The photo shook in my hands. Sarah looked so happy with this mystery man. They were holding hands at what looked like an expensive restaurant. But Sarah had told me she was studying at the library that night. She lied to me. The kitchen door opened, and Sarah walked in from the backyard. She had been on the phone. "Dad, who was that?" she asked, seeing my worried face. I held up the photo, my voice stronger than I felt inside. "Who is this man, Sarah?" Her face went white as snow. She stepped closer, reaching for the picture. "Dad, it's not what it looks like. I just needed to—" I pulled the photo away, standing up so fast my chair made a loud noise. "You lied to me about where you were. Listen to me." Her voice cracked like thin ice. "I'm in trouble, okay? Real trouble. I couldn't tell you the truth because you'd be angry. So lying to your father is better?" Sarah's calm face broke apart. She grabbed the kitchen counter, her hands turning white. "It's not lying. You're my dad. I knew you'd help me if you just understood." "Understood what?" "That my daughter sneaks around with strange men?" The word hit her like a hard slap. Her eyes flashed with something dangerous and mean. "A strange man? Really? After everything I've been through since Mom left us, you think I want to hide things?" My chest felt tight and heavy. Linda's leaving had hurt both of us badly. But Sarah had started acting different in ways I couldn't understand. The lying, the sneaking out, the secrets about where she went. "Your mother always said you had too many secrets," I said quietly. "Don't." Sarah's voice turned cold as winter ice. "Don't you dare bring Mom into this. She would have understood me. She would have helped me. By lying to me? By sneaking around with men I don't know?" Sarah stared at me for a long, long time. Then she laughed, but it sounded broken and sad. "You really think this is about one photo? You really have no idea, do you?" Something in her voice made my stomach feel sick and scared. "What do you mean?" She turned away, walking toward the living room like she was running away. "Forget it. Just forget everything I said." I followed her, still holding the photo that started all this trouble. "Sarah, what did you mean? What do I know?" She was putting things in her bag now. Her phone charger from the table. A bottle of perfume from the shelf. Moving like someone getting ready to run away. "Sarah, answer me now. You want answers?" She spun around, eyes burning like fire. "Fine. This isn't the first time, Dad. It's not even close. And honestly, I'm not sorry anymore. You sit in this house being scared of everything while I'm trying to live my life. Well, congratulations. You finally caught me doing something." The room felt like it was spinning around me. My legs felt weak and shaky. "What are you saying to me?" "I'm saying you never understood me. Mom did, but you just worry and complain, always scared, never helping with real solutions." She closed her bag with angry, violent force. "I'm done trying to explain myself to someone who sees me as a bad kid. How many times have you lied?" My voice came out like a whisper. Sarah stopped at the front door, her hand on the handle. She looked back at me with something that might have been pity or sadness. "More than you want to know, Dad. Way more than you want to know." The door slammed behind her with a loud bang. Through the window, I watched her run to her car, her shoes clicking on our driveway. The engine started loud and angry, and she was gone. I stood alone in my living room, still holding the photo that started everything. Outside, a neighbor's cat meowed once. Then everything went quiet. The train rocked back and forth as we moved toward downtown Chicago. I had barely slept. Sarah's words kept playing in my head over and over. "More than you want to know." The photo felt heavy in my jacket pocket, folded and refolded until the edges were soft and worn. I needed to know how deep this secret went. The tall building reached up into the gray morning sky like a giant finger. Inside, shiny floors reflected bright lights, and busy people walked everywhere around me. I asked for someone who could help me find information about my daughter. Mr. Peterson, a woman in her 30s, walked up to me, holding out her hand. I'm Detective Lisa Martinez. I understand you have some questions about your daughter's activities. We sat at her desk, with neat piles of papers and a computer screen. She turned toward me. I pulled out the photo with shaking fingers like autumn leaves. I found this in my mailbox yesterday. I don't know who this man is. Detective Martinez looked at the photo, her professional smile fading away slowly. I see. Let me check our database for this individual. Her fingers clicked across the keyboard like rain on a window. Mr. Peterson, this man has been on our watch list. The words hit me like ice-cold water in my face. That's impossible. What has my daughter gotten into? He's been linked to several missing person cases involving young women. She turned the screen toward me like showing a scary movie. Here are the reports we received about him over the past 6 months. I leaned forward, looking at the digital images with wide, scared eyes. The reports showed dates, places, and names of girls who had disappeared. This is very serious, I said, my voice sounding strange and far away. My daughter. Oh no! What has she gotten herself into? Detective Martinez's face became softer and kinder. Mr. Peterson, I'm very sorry. This is indeed a dangerous situation. If your daughter is involved with this individual, she could be in real danger. Can you show me everything you know? For the next 20 minutes, she walked me through a trail of fear and worry. The man in the photo wasn't just a stranger. He was someone the police had been looking for. There were reports of him meeting young girls, taking them to expensive places. Then the girls would disappear for days or weeks. The pattern suggests he targets vulnerable young women. Detective Martinez said gently. My vision became blurry with tears. Vulnerable. My Sarah, my little girl who used to be afraid of monsters under her bed, was now mixed up with a real monster. When did your daughter start acting differently? The strange behavior began about 6 months ago, right after her mother moved away, when Sarah had been so sad and lost. When I'd been trying to help her feel better, she'd been meeting this dangerous man. What are my options here? Detective Martinez handed me a stack of papers to read. We need to file a report immediately. We'll start looking for your daughter right away. But Mr. Peterson, she paused, choosing her words like picking flowers carefully. This type of situation, especially involving someone this dangerous, can be very complicated and scary. I stood up on legs that felt like jelly, holding the papers against my chest like a shield. The office's cold air felt like the North Pole against my skin. Thank you for helping me, I managed to say. Mr. Peterson, I must tell you that some of these cases, some of the girls were never found. The elevator going down seemed to take forever and ever. When I finally walked outside, the summer heat hit me like opening an oven door. People walked past everywhere, talking on phones, drinking coffee, living their normal lives, while mine was falling apart like a house of cards. I looked down at the papers in my hands. Evidence of my daughter's danger printed in black and white letters. My keys at the kitchen counter with a sharp metallic sound. The house felt different now, like walking into a place where something terrible had happened. I spread the police papers across the same table where Sarah and I had eaten breakfast just 2 days ago. 6 missing girls. I arranged the papers in order by date, creating a timeline of this man's terrible actions. March 2024, first girl disappeared. April, another girl went missing. May, a third girl vanished like smoke. June, the pattern continued like a nightmare that wouldn't end. July, my Sarah appeared in his life. My Sarah, the one Linda and I had protected and loved since the day she was born. I walked into the living room, needing to see her face in our family photos. Sarah's picture smiled at me from the shelf, taken on her 16th birthday. She'd worn her blue dress, the one I bought her for the school dance. What would you tell me to do? I asked the empty room that echoed with memories. Linda had always worried about Sarah being too trusting with strangers. She believes everyone is good, she'd said once, after Sarah had almost been tricked by a phone scammer. One day that's going to put her in real danger. I had defended our daughter then, told Linda she was being too worried, too scared. Now I understood she'd been trying to protect Sarah from the world. Back in the kitchen, I pulled out a notebook and started writing down what I knew. My choices were limited and all frightening. I could wait for the police to find her, or I could try to find her myself somehow. But the papers told a scary story. Even if the police found Sarah quickly, which seemed unlikely given their track record, she might already be hurt or worse. Nobody disappears for days with a dangerous man and comes back the same person. This was planned, calculated danger. I picked up my phone, looking at Sarah's contact information. My finger hung over the call button, like a bird afraid to land. What did I hope would happen? That she'd answer crying, apologize, promise to come home safe? That we'd hug and cry together like we had when Linda left us? The girl who'd slammed out of this house yesterday wasn't that person anymore. The girl who'd been lying to me for months, who'd been meeting with a dangerous man, who'd look me in the eye and call me scared. That girl was someone I didn't recognize, but she was still my daughter. I put the phone down and walked to the window. Sarah's old bicycle still sat in the garage, pink and covered with dust. I bought it for her when she turned 10 years old. Spent 2 hours putting it together, making sure every bolt was tight and safe. The memory wasn't lost on me. I'd spent her whole life trying to keep her safe from danger, and she'd grown up to be the person who ran toward it. My phone buzzed with a text from my brother Tom. Haven't heard from you in days. Everything okay? Tom Wilson. 20 years as a private investigator. Retired now, but still sharp as a knife. He'd seen every kind of family problem, every kind of dangerous situation. Maybe he'd know what to do when your own child disappears with a predator. I picked up the phone again, but instead of calling Tom, I found myself staring at Sarah's number. She needed to know I discovered everything. Needed to know she was in real danger. Whether I found her myself or let the police handle it, she had to understand this man was not her friend. He was someone who hurt girls like her. My finger moved to her contact like it was being pulled by a magnet. One call would start a conversation that might save her life. But silence wouldn't make the danger disappear or bring her home safe. I pressed a number and listened to it ring and ring. 24 hours later, I stared at Sarah's contact on my phone screen. The police papers lay spread across my kitchen table like puzzle pieces of fear. I'd practiced what to say 100 times, but my fingers still shook over the call button like a leaf in the wind. The phone rang 3 times before she answered with a voice I barely recognized. What do you want now, Dad? Her voice carried the same cold edge from our last fight, but underneath it I heard something new. Fear. Sarah, I know about the man in the photo. Come home now. Silence stretched between us like a long, dark tunnel. I could hear traffic in the background, cars and trucks moving fast. Where are you right now? What man? She asked finally, but something in her voice had changed. The confidence was gone, replaced by worry and confusion. The man from the restaurant. The police showed me everything about him. Sarah, he's dangerous. You need to get away from him right now. Dad, you're being dramatic and silly. These are just normal dating situations. Dating situations? I gripped the phone tighter, my voice getting louder and more scared. Sarah, listen to me very carefully. 6 girls have disappeared after meeting this man. 6 girls just like you. The traffic sound went quiet on her end. I picture her asking someone to turn off her radio, the same way I'd asked her to be quiet when I was on important phone calls. You went to the police? Her voice came out small and frightened, like the little girl who used to have nightmares about monsters. I had to know how dangerous the situation was. And now I do. I picked up one of the police reports, reading from it carefully. March 15th. Jessica Thompson, age 17. Last seen with the same man. April 2nd. Another girl disappeared. May 10th. Stop it. The word came out sharp and panicked. Just stop reading those things. Sarah, I never meant for any of this to happen, but it is happening. You're in danger right now. This man doesn't care about you. He's not your boyfriend or your friend. He hurts girls, always thinking I'm stupid. Her voice turned angry again, but now it sounded fake, like she was trying to convince herself. What about my feelings? What about what I want? What you want? You want to end up missing like those other girls? You want to never see your family again? I didn't choose this. I just wanted someone to care about me. Someone did care. Her voice cracked like breaking glass. He made me feel special and important when you just worried all the time. He made you feel special because that's how dangerous men trick girls. I stood up, walking to the window where Mrs. Johnson from next door was watering her flowers, living her peaceful life while mine fell apart. Your mother tried to warn us about trusting strangers too easily. I said quietly. She said what? Sarah's voice broke completely. She said you believed everyone was good and that one day it might put you in danger. She said that about me? The mention of Linda hit like a punch to my chest. Mom understood me. She knew what it was like to need attention, to want someone to think you're special. You never understood either of us. I walked to our family photos, looking at pictures of Sarah as a little girl. Outside, I could hear children playing in someone's yard, their laughter floating on the evening air like music. Your mother loved you, but she also wanted to protect you. She could see that your trusting nature might attract the wrong kind of people. Listen to me, Sarah, I said quietly. She would be terrified right now, knowing you're with someone dangerous. Dad, listen to what I'm saying. No, you listen to what I'm saying. The words came out harder than I meant them to. This man has hurt other girls. The police have proof. This isn't about trust or understanding or feeling special. This is about survival. I don't want to talk about this anymore. You're scaring me with all these stories. The stories are true, Sarah. I'm scared too. I'm scared I might never see my daughter again. I'm scared this man might hurt you. I'm scared that by the time you realize the danger, it might be too late. The line went quiet except for the sound of her breathing. Heavy, frightened breathing that reminded me of when she used to have bad dreams as a child. I call it try to live my life, she said finally, but her voice shook like autumn leaves. And if you can't understand that, then maybe the police were right about more than just this man. What does that mean? Sarah, what did the police tell you? Figure out yourself, Dad. The line went dead with a click that sounded like a door slamming. I stood holding the silent phone, staring at the black screen that showed my worried reflection. In the distance, I could hear a dog barking somewhere in the neighborhood, a normal sound in a world that had become anything but normal. 6 missing girls. My daughter, my only family left. I set the phone down next to the police reports and tried to figure out what came next. The next morning, I climbed the familiar stairs to Tom's apartment, carrying a folder full of police documents and fear. My legs felt heavy, like I was walking through thick mud. I barely slept after Sarah hung up on me. Tom answered on the second knock, his weathered face showing immediate worry and concern. John, you look terrible. Come in here right now. I need to talk to someone who understands dangerous people, I said. He stepped aside, guiding me into his small kitchen. Coffee was brewing on the counter, filling the air with a warm, familiar smell. Tom had always been steady and reliable. 20 years as a private investigator, retired now, but still sharp as a razor blade. What's happening with you? I sat at his old wooden table and opened the folder. Paper spilled out like evidence of a crime. Tom, I don't know what to do. She's my daughter, but she's in real danger. He poured 2 cups of coffee, black for both of us, and sat down across from me. His gray eyes, the same ones that had tracked down missing people and solved dangerous cases, focused on the documents with professional interest. Start from the beginning and tell me everything. So I did. The mysterious photo in my mailbox, the lies Sarah had been telling, the police visit, the horrifying discovery about the dangerous man. Tom listened without interrupting, occasionally picking up a paper to examine it more closely like a detective studying clues. 6 missing girls, he said finally, setting down a police report with a heavy sigh. John, this is extremely serious. This isn't some teenage rebellion or bad judgment. This is life and death. But I can't force my own child to come home. Tom leaned back in his chair, studying me with the patience of someone who'd heard every family tragedy you could imagine. and she might not survive if you don't try everything possible to save her. Have you considered that this might be bigger than just finding Sarah? What do you mean? Tom stood up, walking to his kitchen window that looked out over the same Chicago street where we both lived for many years. John, in my experience, men like this don't work alone. They usually have a network, other people helping them, places they take the girls. He turned back to face me with a serious expression. This could be organized crime, human trafficking, something much worse than one dangerous man. The thought made my blood turn to ice water in my veins. You think Sarah's part of something bigger? I think Sarah is in more danger than either of you realizes. Mike walked to a filing cabinet and pulled out a thick folder. These are cases I worked on involving missing girls and organized crime. The patterns are always the same. He sat back down, spreading photos and documents across the table like a terrible game of cards. They find vulnerable girls, usually after some kind of family trauma. They make them feel special, loved, important. Then they disappear them completely. I studied the photos, seeing faces that looked heartbreakingly similar to Sarah's. Young, trusting, probably looking for someone to care about them after their families had problems. What would you do? I asked with a voice that shook like a flag in the wind. If it were my daughter, Tom's expression grew more serious than I'd ever seen it. I'd call in every favor I had. I'd use every contact, every resource, every trick I learned in 20 years of finding people. But John, he paused, studying my face carefully. I'd also prepare for the possibility that it might already be too late. The words hit me like physical blows to my chest and stomach. I can't accept that. Not yet. Tom nodded slowly, but I caught something in his expression. A quick calculation. The kind of look he used to get when planning how to approach a dangerous rescue mission. Okay, he said with determination, but we need to move fast. We can't wait for the police to handle this through normal channels. What do you mean? Tom gathered up the photos and documents, suddenly moving with purpose and energy. I mean, we find her ourselves. Tonight, I have contacts in places the police don't usually look. People who know where men like this take girls they want to disappear. He walked to a closet and pulled out equipment I recognized from his investigator days. Cameras, recording devices, things that looked serious and professional. We start with a restaurant in the photo. Someone there will remember them. Someone always remembers. I watched Tom organize his equipment with the precision of someone who'd done this many times before. But what if we're too late? What if she's already gone? Then we'll know we tried everything possible, Tom said simply. But I don't think we're too late yet. Why not? Because dangerous men like this, they don't usually hurt the girls immediately. They keep them around for a while first. That gives us time, but not much. He handed me a small recording device and a photograph. We'll start tonight. Are you ready to do whatever it takes to save your daughter? I looked at Sarah's picture, remembering the little girl who used to climb on my lap to read bedtime stories together. Yes, I said with more certainty than I'd felt in days. I'm ready for anything. 3 hours later, Tom and I sat in his car outside Enzo's restaurant, the same place in the photo where Sarah had been with the dangerous man. The evening was busy with people coming and going, couples on dates, families celebrating special occasions, normal people living normal lives, while we prepared to search for my missing daughter. Tom had made several phone calls, speaking in code to people whose names I didn't recognize, but who seemed to know exactly what kind of help he needed. The manager should be helpful, Tom said, checking his watch. I worked a case here 2 years ago. Missing girl. Similar situation. We found her in time. He adjusted the small camera clipped to his jacket. I want you to stay calm. Let me ask the questions. These people respond better to professionals than to worried fathers. We walked through the restaurant's front door, past couples sharing wine, and families enjoying dinner. The smells of good food filled the air, but I couldn't focus on anything except finding information about Sarah. A tall man in an expensive suit approached us near the hostess station. You must be Tom, he said with a slight accent I couldn't identify. I'm Carlo, the manager we discussed. This is the girl's father. Tom indicated me with a small nod. We need to know about the man she was with. Carlo led us to a quiet corner booth away from other customers. his expression serious and concerned. I remember them. Yes, they came here maybe 10 days ago. But man, he is not good news. What do you mean? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady and calm. Carlo glanced around nervously, making sure no one could overhear our conversation. He comes here sometimes with different girls. Always young. Always scared looking after the first time. We try not to serve him, but he pays cash, big tips, no trouble for the staff. Tom leaned forward, his investigator instincts taking over. Do you know where he takes them afterward? Carlo shook his head, but I could tell he knew more than he was saying. That kind of information, it's dangerous to share. People who ask too many questions sometimes have accidents. He looked directly at me with eyes that held real fear and concern. Your daughter, she seemed different from the others. Less scared, more, how do you say, hopeful? What do you mean hopeful? She talked about going somewhere special, somewhere safe. The man told her about a place where she could start a new life, make good money, be independent. My blood turned cold as ice. That's exactly what human traffickers tell their victims. Tom said quietly. They promise a better life, then steal their freedom completely. Carlo nodded gravely. I tried to warn her, but she wouldn't listen. Young girls, they think they know everything about the world. I pulled out my phone, showing him Sarah's photo. This is her. Have you seen her since that night? Carlo studied the picture carefully, then looked up with an expression that made my heart stop beating. Yes, he said softly. 3 nights ago, but not here at the restaurant. I saw her getting into a van outside my apartment building. She looked different, scared, like she finally understood what kind of trouble she was in. Where? What kind of van? Tom's voice became sharp and professional. White van, no windows in the back. License plate covered with mud, which is never an accident. 2 men with a girl, not just the one from the photo. That means they're moving her through the network, Tom said grimly. She's not just with one dangerous man anymore. She's in a criminal organization that specializes in making girls disappear forever. The restaurant suddenly felt too warm, too crowded, too normal for the nightmare we were discussing. Carlo reached into his jacket and pulled out a business card. This is someone who might be able to help you. He helps families find missing girls. But you must be very careful. These people, they don't like interference with their business. Tom took the card, studying it carefully. I know this name, he said with something like relief in his voice. He's legitimate, works with law enforcement, has contacts everywhere. We can trust him. Carlo stood up, signaling that our conversation was ending. I hope you find your daughter, he said to me with genuine sympathy. But you should know, most girls who get taken by these organizations, they're never the same afterward. Even if you find them, they're changed forever. I watched him walk away, back to his normal restaurant duties, while Tom and I prepared to enter a world where daughters disappear and fathers search desperately in the darkness. Outside the restaurant, Tom made another phone call while I stood on the sidewalk watching normal people live their normal lives. I could hear him speaking in low, urgent tones about missing girls and criminal networks and time running out quickly. When he finished, he turned to me with an expression I'd never seen before. A mixture of hope and fear that made my stomach twist with anxiety. We have a lead, he said. Someone thinks they know where these men take the girls they kidnap. Where? Tom looked at his watch, calculating something in his head, like a man planning a military operation. There's a warehouse district about 20 minutes from here. Several buildings that get rented by cash. No questions asked. Perfect for hiding people who don't want to be found. He started walking toward his car with quick, determined steps. But John, he paused, looking back at me with serious eyes. We need to call the police now. This is beyond what we can handle safely by ourselves. What if calling them alerts the criminals? What if they move Sarah before the police can get there? Tom's expression showed he considered the same questions. That's always a risk. But the alternative is walking into a dangerous situation unprepared and probably getting ourselves killed along with your daughter. He pulled out his phone, dialing a number from memory. This is Tom Wilson. I need to speak to Detective Rodriguez about a human trafficking situation. Emergency status. As he spoke to the police, Giving them our location and the information we'd gathered, I thought about Sarah. Was she scared right now? Did she understand how much danger she was in? Was she thinking about home, wishing she'd listened to my warnings about trusting strangers? 20 minutes later, we sat in Tom's car outside a cluster of old warehouse buildings, waiting for police backup to arrive. The area looked abandoned and dangerous, exactly the kind of place where bad things happen to good people. Most of the streetlights were broken, leaving long shadows where anything could be hiding. "This is it," Tom said, pointing to a building with no visible address numbers. Third warehouse from the left. 3 cars parked outside, lights on in the windows. Definitely activity inside. I stared at the building, knowing my daughter might be somewhere behind those walls, scared and alone and needing her father to save her. The waiting felt impossible, like trying to hold back ocean waves with bare hands. "Where are the police?" I asked for the 10th time in 5 minutes. "They'll be here," Tom assured me, "but we need to be ready to move fast when they arrive. These operations can disappear quickly when they sense law enforcement nearby." He handed me a small flashlight and pointed to different parts of the building. "Emergency exits there and there. If something goes wrong, we run toward the street, not deeper into the complex." Tom's phone buzzed with a text message. He read it quickly, then looked at me with an expression of mixed relief and tension. "Rodriguez says they're 2 minutes out. Unmarked cars, tactical team, the works. This is really happening." My heart pounded like a drum as we waited in the darkness. Somewhere in that building was Sarah, and in less than 5 minutes, we'd either save her or lose her forever. I thought about all the bedtime stories I'd read to her, all the scraped knees I'd bandaged, all the school projects we'd worked on together. Everything that made her my daughter, my responsibility, my heart walking around outside my body. The first police car arrived silently, no lights or sirens. Then another and another, professional men and women in dark clothing, moving with the precision of people who rescued kidnapped children for a living. Detective Rodriguez approached our car, a small woman with intense eyes and the kind of confidence that comes from saving lives. "Mr. Peterson, I'm going to need you and Tom to stay in this vehicle while we handle the entry. This is a dangerous operation, and we can't risk civilian casualties. But she's my daughter." "I understand, sir. And we're going to do everything possible to bring her home safely to you. But the best way you can help right now is to let us do our jobs without worrying about your safety too." I watched through the car window as the tactical team surrounded the warehouse, moving like shadows in the darkness. Each officer knew exactly where to go, what to do, how to coordinate with their partners. This wasn't their first rescue operation, and it wouldn't be their last. Tom put a hand on my shoulder as we waited. 20 years of finding missing people, and it never gets easier to watch families go through this. But these officers are the best at what they do. If Sarah can be saved, they'll save her. The warehouse door exploded open with a loud crash that echoed through the night. Bright lights flooded out as officers streamed inside, shouting commands we couldn't quite hear from our distance. Radio chatter crackled from Detective Rodriguez's equipment as she coordinated the operation from outside. Everything happened fast and slow at the same time, like watching a movie where every second stretched into an hour. Then I heard it, a sound that made my heart stop and restart at the same time. A girl's voice screaming "Daddy" from somewhere inside the building. Sarah's voice, unmistakable and terrified and alive. I lunged to the car door, but Tom grabbed my arm with strength I'd forgotten he had. "John and O, you can't go in there. The officers will bring her out safely." "But that's my daughter screaming for me." "I know, and they know that too. Let them do their job." More shouts came from inside the warehouse, men's voices yelling commands, the sound of heavy footsteps running across concrete floors. Detective Rodriguez spoke rapidly into a radio, coordinating with the team inside, while keeping watch on perimeter for anyone trying to escape. 2 minutes felt like 2 hours as we waited for news. Then I saw her. Sarah appeared in the warehouse doorway, supported by 2 officers, looking smaller and more fragile than I'd ever seen her. Even from a distance, I could tell she was hurt, scared, but alive. She was alive and safe and coming home to me. Detective Rodriguez waved us forward, and I ran toward my daughter faster than I'd moved in 20 years. Sarah collapsed into my arms, sobbing against my chest like she had when she was little and had nightmares about monsters under her bed. Dad, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was so stupid. It's okay, baby girl. You're safe now. That's all that matters to me. She pulled back to look at me, her face streaked with tears and dirt, her eyes wide with the kind of fear that changes a person forever. He wasn't who I thought he was. None of them were who I thought they were. They were going to... Her voice broke completely. They were going to sell me, Dad, like I was a thing, not a person. I held her tighter, feeling her shake against me like a leaf in a storm. Detective Rodriguez approached us, her expression gentle but professional. Mr. Peterson, we need to take Sarah to the hospital for a medical evaluation, and then we'll need her statement about what happened inside that building. Sarah looked up at me with eyes that held new knowledge about how dangerous the world could be. Will you stay with me, Dad? Through everything? I'm never leaving your side again. I promised, meaning every word. We walked together toward the ambulance, past a warehouse where 4 men were being led away in handcuffs. The man from the photo looked different now, smaller and meaner, without his expensive clothes and fake charm. He glanced at us as officers pushed him toward a police car, and I saw Sarah flinch and move closer to me. You don't ever have to see him again, I told her firmly. The officers will make sure of that. As we drove toward the hospital, Sarah held my hand like she had when she was 7 years old and afraid of getting shots from the doctor. I thought I was so smart, Dad. I thought I knew better than you about everything. Sometimes the people who love us see dangers we can't see ourselves. I said quietly, your mom tried to teach us that. Mom will be so disappointed in me, Sarah whispered. Your mom will be proud that you survived, that you're coming home, that you learned something important about trusting the wrong people. She squeezed my hand tighter. I want to go home, Dad. I want to sleep in my own bed and eat breakfast at our kitchen table and never lie to you about anything ever again. That's exactly what we're going to do, sweetheart, starting tomorrow morning. 3 weeks later, Sarah and I sat in the courthouse where the man who had kidnapped her was being sentenced for his crimes. The same man who had seemed so charming and caring in that first photograph now looked small and mean in his orange jail uniform. Judge William Harrison read the charges in a voice that echoed through the courtroom like thunder. Human trafficking, kidnapping, conspiracy to commit fraud. The evidence against him was overwhelming and undeniable. Sarah, do you want to give a victim impact statement? The judge asked gently. Sarah stood up on legs that still shook sometimes, but her voice was stronger than it had been 3 weeks ago. Your Honor, this man almost destroyed my life and my family. He lied to me, manipulated me, and tried to sell me like I was property instead of human being. But her voice grew steadier as she continued. He didn't succeed. I'm here, I'm safe, and I'm going to make sure other girls don't fall for the same tricks I did. When the sentencing was finished, we walked down the courthouse steps together, Tom beside us like the guardian angel he'd become. 20 years in prison wasn't enough, but it was justice. Sarah would testify against the other men they'd arrested, helping to shut down the entire criminal network that had tried to steal her life. How do you feel? Tom asked as we reached the sidewalk. Grateful, I said, looking at my daughter who was alive and safe and home. Grateful for friends who act when we can't act for ourselves. Grateful for second chances and police officers who risk their lives to save other people's children. Sarah linked her arm through mine as we walked toward Tom's car. Dad, I know I can't take back the lies I told or the danger I put us both in, but I want to spend the rest of my life making sure you know how much I love you and trust you. That's all I ever wanted to hear, sweetheart. We drove home through the Chicago streets, past normal people living normal lives, grateful to be normal ourselves again. That evening, Sarah and I cooked dinner together in our kitchen, the same place where this nightmare had started with a mysterious photograph in my mailbox. But now the kitchen felt warm and safe and full of hope again. We talked about our plans to finish school, maybe study criminal justice to help other families going through similar situations. We talk about being more careful about trusting strangers, but not letting fear stop us from living full lives. Most importantly, we talk about never keeping dangerous secrets from each other again. As we sat down to eat, I looked across the table at my daughter, really looked at her. She was different now, older in some ways, more careful about the world. But she was still Sarah, still the little girl who had climbed on my lap for bedtime stories, still the teenager who had rolled her eyes at my dad jokes. She was my daughter, saved and safe and home where she belonged. "Dad," she said as we finished our meal together, "thank you for never giving up on me, even when I gave you every reason to. Thank you for finding me when I was too scared and stubborn to save myself." "That's what fathers do," I replied. "We protect our children, even when they don't think they need protecting, especially then." Later that night, I tucked Sarah into her own bed for the first time in weeks, just like I had when she was small. "Sweet dreams, baby girl. No more nightmares about monsters. The real monsters are in jail now." I walked downstairs to my living room, past the family photos that told the story of our lives together. Normal problems seemed manageable now compared to almost losing her forever. The mysterious text that had started everything was still saved on my phone. "Check your mailbox now." I'd never found out who sent that warning, who had saved Sarah's life by alerting me to the danger she was in. Maybe it was someone who had escaped from the same criminal network. Maybe it was another parent who had lost a child and wanted to save mine. Maybe I'd never know, and maybe that was okay. What mattered was that someone had cared enough to warn a father that his daughter was in terrible danger. Someone had given us the chance to save her before it was too late. I picked up the phone and called Tom, my voice steady and grateful. "Thank you," I said when he answered, "for everything you did, for every risk you took, for being a friend who acted when I couldn't. That's what friends do for each other," he replied simply. "We protect each other's families when they can't protect themselves." Outside my window, the Chicago night was quiet and peaceful. Neighbors were safe in their homes. Children were asleep in their beds, and my daughter was upstairs in her room where she belonged. The criminal network that had tried to steal her life was broken. The man who had manipulated her was in prison. Other girls would be safer because Sarah had been brave enough to testify against the people who had hurt her. Justice had been served, families had been protected, and love had won over evil. Sometimes that's all you can ask for. 6 months later, Sarah started college with a major in criminal justice and a minor in psychology. She wanted to understand how predators targeted vulnerable young people and how families could protect themselves from similar dangers. She'd turned her nightmare into a mission to help others. Every morning, she called to check in with me. Every evening, she came home for dinner. We both learned that communication and honesty were the foundation of trust, and trust was what kept families safe and strong. The photo that started our nightmare was locked away in a police evidence box, but I'd never forget the lesson it taught me. Sometimes danger comes disguised as opportunity. Sometimes the people who claim to care about us are the ones planning to hurt us the most. And sometimes mysterious warnings come from unexpected places to save the people we love most in the world. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to Nasty Revenge, and share your thought about family safety in the comments below. Click the video on the left to hear another story about families fighting back against danger. Thank you for listening to the end.